I'm Stuart Finlinson, I'm from the Gibraltar Museum, and I also form part of the Gibraltar Museum caving unit. So today we're in Leonora's cave. Leonora's cave was originally discovered in 1864 and it was named in 1867. The discoverer, a man named Broome, was the governor of prisons here in Gibraltar at the time, and he was an avid explorer. He loved caves, visited many caves at the time. And when he found this cave, which is within the St. Michael's Cave complex, the entrance at the time was very narrow, and the original accounts from 1864 actually explain how he sent his son in through the gap into the cave because none of the adults would fit in to the cave. A couple of hours later, he was starting to panic because his son still hadn't come out of the cave. But he emerged, and then he got his men to start opening the cave entrance. It was in 1867 that he named it Leonora's cave after his wife.
I'm Tyson Holmes. I work at the Gibraltar Museum, and I'm also a member of the Gibraltar Museum Caving Unit. So we're now in Leonora's cave. Leonora's cave is part of the greater St. Michael's Cave system. It is a solutional cave. That is to say that it's formed through water, rainwater, percolating through the limestone bedrock, coming into little cracks and crevices, dissolving them, and creating these much larger chambers that we see here. So the cave formations that most people know about and associate with caves are stalactites and stalagmites. Stalactites come from the ceiling downwards, and stalagmites are formed from the cave floor upwards. A stalagmite is always fed through a stalactite from the top, and eventually they can also meet and they can form stalactoes or columns like this one here.
There are other kinds of caves in Gibraltar, for example, sea caves, which are through the erosion of sea battering against the rock. And you also have fissures. Fissures are created through tectonic movements, and which separate large lumps of rock over a long period of time and create these kinds of caves. Leonora's cave is quite a stable cave. We've noticed that this cave is usually around 17 to 17.5 degrees centigrade all year round. There's always quite a high level of humidity as well. It doesn't really suffer very much from the elements, except obviously that it does get a lot wet, and there is a lot more water that comes in during the winter period. The Gibraltar Museum Caving Unit is a volunteer group working under the Gibraltar Museum. It forms part of the Gibraltar Cave Research Project, which was founded in 1989. The group was actually formed in 2011, and its main purpose at the time was to enter and look for caves which weren't easily accessible, and to investigate to find if they had any archaeological potential. Since the group was founded, we started looking at plans on how many caves there were in Gibraltar, etc. And there was a lot of work done in the 1960s and 70s, and the total number of caves we found at the time was 154. Through a lot of hard work, the team, which is a group of volunteers, as I said before, has brought that total up now to 214 caves. And indeed, some of them have been found to have archaeological potential.
Hello, my name is Alex Mirza. I work at the Gibraltar Museum and I'm part of the Gibraltar Museum Caving Unit. Caving, one of the most important things is the equipment we use. First of all, we have a helmet, a spare light in case we run out of batteries. Also wear a special tear-resistant suit that's specially designed for caves. And we also have a caving rope here, that's also known as static rope, that's specially designed for caves.
What kind of knot are you going to use there?
I'm going to use an alpine butterfly because you can take the load without stressing the rope above. So you can anchor from above and then re-anchor here. So
Without taking the stress on the top one?
Yep, without getting any stress on the top.
Okay.
Okay.
So even though we know that Leonora's wasn't officially investigated till the 1860s, we do know that people did visit the cave previously. There's been visits since the 18th century, and some of the graffiti here behind me shows different military personnel visiting the cave and leaving their mark there since the early 1800s. The cave has had various uses. It's been a show cave in the 19th century. They used to light it up by candlelight, and military personnel used to bring their families down here at the weekends to visit the cave. There's a record as well that says that ladies should fear not to explore Leonora's caves, so you can imagine them coming in their big dresses and stuff, so it must be quite fun to have seen that. Some of the graffiti behind me here dates to the early 19th century, and that's military personnel coming down here and leaving their mark. There's loads of them, and it's quite interesting to see what sort of regiments they came from. The military used to come down here as well to carry out duels, which are obviously illegal, but they'd come down here because it's hidden enough to be able to do it without anyone telling them anything. There's even a record of a wedding being celebrated down here in Leonora's cave. Leonora's cave is actually one of the main entrances to St. Michael's Cave. It's just that over the years it's been silted up by sediments, and one of the bone breccias that we have at the top of Leonora's cave shows us that that's actually closed it off from St. Michael's Cave.